হ্যালো and a very good evening. সবাইকে এনটিটি লাইভে স্বাগত। আশা છે કે તમે સારું કરી રહ્યા છો, which means hope you're doing well. ભારત એક વૈવિધ્યસભર દેશ છે, meaning India is a diverse country. हिंदुस्तान में बहुत सी जुबानी है, meaning India has got many languages. Intia valamana kalacharam kundate. That's what makes India such a rich country. India has always been considered more than a country as an idea that has allowed multiplication of more and more ideas. It has allowed coexistence of just not one or two, but multiple languages, multiple cultures, and that's exactly what makes us so very diverse. When you come to East, while it's just one way of looking at the country, but East itself has got so many languages. You have Oriya, you have Bhojpuri, you have Bengali, you have Nepali, you have Assamese, you have Manipuri, you have Gorkha. There are so many languages here in the eastern side of the country. You go to the northern side, you have Kashmiri, you have Punjabi language, you have Rajasthani language, which is essentially the Marwari language. You also have Gujarati language, which is on the western side. You have Maratha language, you have Goanese language, you have Kannada, you have Konkan, you have Tamil. Now, when you go to all these places and you see all these languages come floating into your ears, put your hand on your heart and say that you get intimidated. I don't, and I'm sure you don't. Because while you go there and the language could be strange to you and might not be something that you speak, yet it doesn't take much time for you to accommodate yourself in that culture and for that culture to accommodate you, even though you don't belong there. And that's the beauty of India. We believe in unison, even though we are so different in different styles, from culture, from language, from mannerism, the way we dress, our folk dance, our tradition, our festivals, all are so different, yet we are together. And that's the reason India is considered more than a country, an idea which is an example for the entire world. We are a democracy and we are the true symbol of diversity and unison. Why am I talking about India? Why am I talking about the diverse and the rich culture of the country today? Why did I start the show in different languages, little that I could and little that I have been able to pick up in the past 1 hour and so? It's because this same country in the past few years has also been dealing with a debate, a large chorus which is growing with time, as whether India too should have a national language, Rashtra Bhasha, to which there had come a lot of resistance, just not in the past couple of years, but historically, from down south, from east, from everywhere. How can India, which is an idea of unison, of multiple cultures, multiple ethnicities, multiple languages, suddenly have one language? And that's the reason. Historically, India never had declared one national language, while we have got more than 20 national languages. Yes, we have two official languages, and we will come to that. There are roughly about 70 80 languages in India, 22 languages, scheduled languages as per India's Language Act, and as per Article 343 of the Indian Constitution, the official language of the country shall be Hindi in Devanagari script. Initially, after the independence of India, 14 languages were included in the Constitution of India. Later, that was amended, and in 1964, the Official Language Act provided languages that may be used for official purpose of the Union of India for the transaction of business in Parliament, for central and state acts, and for a certain purpose in the Hindi High Court. Well, the official languages of colonial India were English, Urdu, and Hindi. The Official Languages Act 1963 made certain amendments, but still, 22 languages spoken in India were officially registered, and these languages are Assamese, Gujarati, Bengali, Hindi, Kashmiri, Kannada, Konkani, Manipuri, Marathi, Malayalam, Oriya, Nepali, Punjabi, Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, Bodo, Urdu, Sindhi, Santali, and Dogri. So many languages in the scheduled list of India's Official Languages Act, and there are two official languages, essentially indicating that these are the two official languages you can use for your business, for your transaction, and at the same time, state governments have been given the equal right for a state to have its own official language. Like in West Bengal, we have Bengali as the official language. That is not dismissive of Hindi. That is not dismissive of English. That is not dismissive of any other language which exists in India. However, the debate which has only gained momentum and larger chorus as whether Hindi should be called the national, the Rashtra language of India. Why am I talking about this today? Because in the parliament, once again, something peculiar happened. Yes, this has happened in the past. It has happened from the side of the Home Ministry, from the side of BJP leaders, trying to indicate that what is the harm in having one official language or having a national language? Yet, the resistance from the opposition parties, and especially the regional opposition parties, had made it loud and clear that one language supremacy over the others will not be acceptable. Today, inside the parliament, this is what happened. While Trinamool Congress member of parliament, Shogoto Roy, was raising his argument objecting to the central government's attempt to change names, like Indian Penal Code has been changed to something else in Hindi, and there had been multiple changes made from changing the names of bills, acts, and also ministries. Objecting to that, Shogoto Roy has said that he is a Bengali, he finds it very difficult to call Ministry of Aviation Nagar Viman Mantralay, or for that matter, Aircraft Act of 1934, which has now been rechristened as Bharatiya Vayuyan Vidhayak Bill 2024. We have the graphics ready. We should play it. Indian Penal Code has been changed to Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, like Indian Evidence Act has been rechristened as Bharatiya Shaksha Abhiniyam, or for that matter, Code of Criminal Procedure has been rechristened as Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha. Now, me being a Bengali, even I have difficulties pronouncing it. While if this is the rule and the uh, uh, you know uh, uh, dictum of the government, we have to respect it and we will be honoring it. But then it cannot negate the fact that anybody who is not attuned to speaking Hindi would have difficulty pronouncing all of that. And that's exactly what Shogoto Roy was saying. To which Dilip Saikia, who is a BJP member of parliament and incidentally was in the chair in Lok Sabha, said, Hindi hamari Rashtra Bhasha hai. Listen to this and watch this sequence.
Constantly changing the names. भारतीय वायुयान विधेयक क्या जरूरत है? रूडी जी सेट विमानन होना चाहिए, कोई जरूरत नहीं है एयरक्राफ्ट, इंडियन एयरक्राफ्ट एक्ट, लेकिन अमित शाह शुरू किया है और आप सब हिंदी हिंदी करते हैं। हम जो हिंदी स्पीकिंग नहीं है, हमारा इसमें आपत्ति है। हिंदी आप तो उड़िया है, आप क्यों बोल रहे हैं हिंदी का पक्ष में? आप बैठिए, आप उड़िया है क्या? ये
सदस्य आप इधर बोले,
आपको अमित शाह का होम मिनिस्ट्री का बिल है सर, कोई नाम समझता नहीं है, सब नाम ये लगा दिया, इससे हिंदी बढ़ेगा? ये नहीं होगा, हम तो इसके खिलाफ है।
हिंदी राष्ट्र भाषा है,
इसलिए मैं तो बंगाली नहीं बोलता हूँ, मैं बोलता हूँ ऐसा एक लैंग्वेज जहाँ कानून इंडियन पेनल कोड, उसको अब क्या क्या बना दिया, हम नाम भी याद नहीं रख पाते।
Dilip Saikia, who is a member of parliament of BJP from Assam, literally said, Hindi hamari Rashtra Bhasha hai. Now, the problem is this আমি তো ঠাকুর ঘরে গিয়ে কলা খাইনি, that's the attitude. Now, if I know it's an analogy. Well, it's often used that you try and do something and you do it and then say, I have not done it. So I would touch and not touch, this attitude had created a lot of confusion, has created a lot of confusion as whether Hindi is the Rashtra Bhasha or not. If this is the Rashtra Bhasha, has the Official Language Act, which was last amended in 1964, if I'm not wrong, has that been amended once again? It hasn't been. So after 1964, the Official Language Act of India has not been amended. The Constitution of India stays where it is, and the Constitution of India recognizes 22 languages of India under the schedule list as the national language, wherein there are 780 languages in India. Imagine, 780 languages in India. Just because Hindi is spoken mostly in the central part of the country, like Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, or for that matter, Madhya Pradesh to a large extent, the question that many people have raised, and especially from the regional quarters, as whether this is an attempt to impose supremacy of central India on rest of India. Can Hindi be imposed on Kashmiri people who would love to speak in their own Kashmiri language? Can Hindi be imposed on Bengalis who would love to speak in Bengalis? And Bengali is also the official language out here. Can Hindi be imposed on Tamil in down south, in Tamil Nadu, where Tamil is also the official language used for business transactions? Similarly, can Hindi be imposed on Maharashtra, in Maharashtra, where Maratha is the dominant language and, of course, the regional language? We have seen the Maratha movement, and we have seen the kind of regional sentiment still works in Maharashtra. The same kind of a regional sentiment you've also seen in West Bengal. We have also seen such regional sentiment in every parts of the country, be it Punjab or for that matter Kerala, because every regional sentiment evokes a regional pride, which 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, every regional pride put together makes the idea the pride of India, or the pride called India. Thus, every time this touch you, don't touch you attitude coming in from BJP in the past couple of years, which has also only raised confusion, has also compelled people to question, is BJP government, primarily the Modi government, attempting to make Hindi the Rashtra Bhasha, the national language of India? If yes, why don't they do it? Because once you do it, it's end of the game. Once and for all, it is over, and you know there is a national language. Well, whether it's right or wrong, there is a parliament to debate. There are people's representatives seated there. How would people react to that? Again, we have to wait and see. But without having a national language, to suggest that Hindi is the Rashtra Bhasha, it is technically incorrect, and thus many would want to raise objection. And that's essentially the reason why we are discussing this. Before we go to my guests, I would once again go back to the sequence which emerged in the parliament today, in Lok Sabha, when Shogot Roy, Trinamool Congress member of parliament, had tried objecting to the change of names and names of ministries from English to Hindi, which he thought had created a lot of inconvenience for those who are not fluent in Hindi. And to which Dilip Saikia, BJP member of parliament, who incidentally was there in the chair in Lok Sabha, had said, Hindi hamari Rashtra Bhasha hai. Watch that sequence once more.
सेट विमानन होना चाहिए, कोई जरूरत नहीं है एयरक्राफ्ट, इंडियन एयरक्राफ्ट एक्ट, लेकिन अमित शाह शुरू किया है और आप सब हिंदी हिंदी करते हैं। हम जो हिंदी स्पीकिंग नहीं है, हमारा इसमें आपत्ति है। हिंदी आप तो उड़िया है, आप क्यों बोल रहे हैं हिंदी का पक्ष में? आप बैठिए, आप उड़िया है क्या? ये नाम
सदस्य आप इधर बोले,
आपको
माननीय सदस्य आप इधर
होम
बोले,
मिनिस्ट्री का बिल
इधर
है।
बोलिए आप।
सर कोई नाम समझता नहीं है, सब नाम ये लगा दिया।
अभी समाप्त
इससे
कीजिए आप।
हिंदी बढ़ेगा? ये नहीं होगा, हम तो इसके खिलाफ है।
हिंदी राष्ट्र भाषा
मैं
है।
इसलिए मैं तो बंगाली नहीं बोलता हूँ, मैं बोलता हूँ ऐसा एक लैंग्वेज
ठीक,
जहाँ कानून इंडियन पेनल कोड, उसको अब क्या क्या बना दिया, हम नाम भी याद नहीं रख पाते।
ठीक।
Joining me in this conversation is Mr. Gargo Chatterjee, a known columnist, a known voice in Bengal's political landscape, even though he's not part of any political party, but He had been running this crusade for very long now, called Bangla Pokho, much on the lines of what you have seen in Maharashtra, where he had been suggesting that if you are here in Bengal, you have to respect Bengali language. You also need to learn Bengali so that the regional sentiment is not hurt. And he is also, correct me if I'm wrong, Gargo, you're also anti-imposition of Hindi as the Rashtra Bhasha.
The concept of Rashtra Bhasha is completely alien. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Gargo. I can hear you now. Can you just
Okay.
speak a little louder?
Yeah, the concept of Rashtra Bhasha is completely alien to the Constitution of India. India, that is Bharat, is a multilingual, multi-ethnic federal union. That means something. Okay. The fact that there is language-based reorganization of states in India, the fact that Bihar and Bengal are not one state is because they have separate languages. The fact that Bihar, Bengal, and Orissa are not the same state because they are separate languages, right? The fact that Maharashtra and Gujarat, which were earlier one Bombay state, are now two separate states is because they have separate languages. We know this. Because we do not have a Rashtra Bhasha or a national language, and why don't we have one? Because India was not formed on the basis of any language. Okay, it's as simple as that. It was formed on the basis of unity forged against British imperialism in this subcontinent. That's the idea of India, and we have a civic duty towards the Constitution. Nowhere in the Constitution does it mention any concept like a national language. But there has been a lobby of politicians or whatever ever since 1947 and even before that, okay, who have been trying to push this linguistic imperialism of all languages are equal, but some are more equal than others. This sort of a concept, with Hindi as being special, you call it national language or whatever. So some sort of specialness, okay? And we saw it in the Constituent Assembly when this was soundly defeated, when the Constitution was being formed. Ever since 2014, when the BJP has come to power, we have seen extremely high-ranking people in the government speaking this language, speaking these terms, unconstitutional terms. I remember the now deceased External Affairs Minister, Sushma Swaraj. She said Hindi as national language, false. Vice President of India and leader of the House, the Speaker of Rajya Sabha, in fact, the leader of the Rajya Sabha, the Vice President of India, Mr. M. Venkaiah Naidu, he once said this, and these things go unchallenged, okay? Even now, when we see somebody who's sitting on the speaker's seat, who's saying this, now for an average viewer, it's a man saying something. It is a lie that is propagated without opposition almost everywhere. And hence, who would want to check the Constitution? Very few of us do. We take it at face value. I think I congratulate Tamal that you have picked up what has been said, and there should be an initiative, a movement to expunge these lines from the proceedings of the House. We cannot have an extra constitutional statement being recorded for posterity. Okay, it's a unconstitutional, extra constitutional. It's illegal, as simple as that. You can't be distorting.
Why do you think? Why do you think, Gargo? Why do you think they are been attempting to do this? And as you said, whether it's then Rajya Sabha chairman Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, or a member of parliament and union minister Sushma Swaraj, or for that matter today Dilip Saikia, every time they have made an attempt to make Hindi sound as the Rashtra Bhasha, why do you think they have been trying to do this? Is this an attempt to impose Hindi and Hindi supremacy on the regional sentiment, on the regional languages and the regional supremacy?
I would just give you an example of how this supremacy of Hindi, as it is pushed, how this affects us also, who don't think in those terms. I'll go back to what you just said. Pushing of Hindi onto regional languages, right? Well, Hindi is another regional language. But see, when we say the word regional language, we mean Tamil, we mean Bangla, we mean Uriya, we mean Kannada. We don't necessarily mean Hindi, though it is, right? And that's where the rub is, that Hindi is a language of the Hindi region, period. Bangla is a language of the Bangla speaking regions of India, and so is Uriya, so is Tamil, etc. Why? It's an interesting question. Why? One major thing is there are two visions of India. One is plural. One is which talks about unity and diversity. Okay, one which talks in unity and diversity. The other one which hates this diversity. Okay, which hates this diversity. It wants one. You know, this whole series of ones, and hence one language, right? And of course, one language would be the one where their main political base is. You know, they're pretty complementary. And it's not, BJP seems to be the most pernicious expression of this sentiment, but it has been around since 47, and as I said, even before. For example, I'll give you certain examples. Even today, you can't give the Indian Army exam in Subhash Chandra Bosu's mother tongue, but you can give it in Hindi. The Bay of Bengal, where our Naval Eastern Command is, you know, you can't give, and all these coastal states, it's interesting, not one coastal state which has a coast is a Hindi speaking state. But which means people here have long naval experience and associations. You can't get into the Navy by giving your exam in any of the languages of these coastal states, but you can get into the Navy by giving your exam in Hindi, which has never had a coast, which has no concept of a sea. It's landlocked. And this, I'm giving you examples, the most biggest examples, but go to every union government department. Okay, so there is something called Hindi Day. Every language can celebrate its day. Okay, there's no problem about it. I have been invited to speak on Punjabi Day in Punjabi University Patiala, which commemorates one of their greatest poets. Okay, but Hindi Day is an interesting day. It is the day when Hindi, which before 1947 was at par with every other language like Bangla, Tamil, the day all our languages became second class in our own land, and as a constitutional sort of bargaining, Hindi and English both became official languages of the union government, which means the day non-Hindi people's native languages became second class is kind of a victory day. I ask, over whom? We are the same countrymen. You could have chosen Munshi Premchand's birthday, for all that I care, right? When I go to UP or Bihar or Madhya Pradesh, the platform doesn't, if I'm a Bangla speaking person, I can't read it. Why would that privilege be accorded to Hindi knowing people if they come to Bengal? Are there two kinds of Indians who can easily navigate everything the first class, and people who should be restricted only to their state? We want equal citizenship. We are not against any language. We want equality.
The Prime Minister comes to Bengal for election campaigning and then he starts speaking in Bangla. like Kholo Kholo Dar. Then a lot of other things he had said in Bangla, tried quoting Rabindranath Tagore and other literature which had been written in Bengal. It immediately formed that Bengali connect. So I don't know. It's very much confusing. On one hand, they are saying some of them belonging to that party, they are saying that Hindi is a Rashtra Bhasha, wherein it is not there in the constitution. The Prime Minister comes to Bengal and goes to other parts of the country and tries connecting with people in the regional language. So it is very, very confusing, and many would say this is nothing but double standard.
I would like the Union government's Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, to put his money where his mouth is, okay? He tries to mouth some Bangla lines. He should actually tell us what is the Union government budget for promotion of Bangla language. Let me give you the number. It's zero, okay? Zero. So I do not care what language my Prime Minister speaks. He could speak Tamil. I don't care. I care about his policies, okay? I care whether a Hindi speaking person can get into the army writing in his mother tongue, while I, a Bengali, cannot do so. I want a prime minister which would end this linguistic apartheid. Okay? But Rabindranath and Bankim Chandra, his lines do not need any prime minister or chief minister or anyone for them to shine forth. Okay? And in fact, through speaking Bangla in Bengal, the Prime Minister of the Union government actually acknowledges that Bengal is Bangla land, right? So if Bengal is Bangla land, why not make Bangla knowledge compulsory for every Union government personnel serving in Bengal? Because this is about public service. The public are Bengali, which is why he's trying to woo them by speaking Bangla. So why shouldn't the railway person know? Why shouldn't the BSF person know? Why shouldn't the national highway official person know, right? So when you need to take votes, it's Bangla, but when it's actually serving the people, it's not Bangla. That's pretty strange. In fact,
Well,
in recent years, appointments to the banks, government banks, and post offices all across, Hindi has become putting Hindi speaking people in charge has become a norm, and there's a huge amount of discontent on this question. Okay, I would ask the Prime Minister two things. It's something very interesting to do away. So right now with the IPC to Bharat Naya Sanghita and all of this, these seem to be very throwing away the colonial yoke. Okay, one part of colonialism, one signature of colonialism was this whole system of transferable service. Let me just tell you that if you transfer people around, why did British transfer people? So that as an oppressive extracting power, whoever they were sending there should not develop deeper roots with the native people. That's the whole idea, right? So they would transferred, moved around. Okay. Now we are an independent country. Now the concept should be exactly the opposite. That the deeper the roots are of a person in an area, the more suited they are to be serving in that area, right? Which means, talk about IAS, IPS, talk about whatever. There should be state quotas in everything, so that in West Bengal, you don't need to transfer people. Why should people be transferred? This is not some, Bharat Dekho type of thing, okay? This is for serving the people. That's why bureaucracy and that's why services are there.
I got your point. I got your point. Gargo, I see you have written your name in Bangla. And you're also accused of being, at times, the Raj Thackeray of Kolkata. You barge into stalls, you impose Bengali language, you tell people to learn Bengali, speak Bengali, if they have to do business in Bengal. If tomorrow there comes a situation like Hindi will be debated as whether should be made as the national language or not, will you accept it?
Over my dead body. Over my dead body, our Bengali freedom fighters did not spill their blood in the freedom movement to replace English and London by Hindi and Delhi. That's not the deal. That's not the deal. That's not the deal. We are their children.
But
Okay.
what
No
you do,
way.
Gargo,
No way. Hindi can be the national language of a nation called imagination. Okay.
but Gargo, you're also accused of being literally, you know, a strongman kind of a person, trying to impose something. Why impose Bengali on those who can't speak Bengali?
Let me ask you something. Would you be able to operate in UP without knowing Hindi? We want the same rules. We want exactly the same rules. The fact that for asking of equal rights is something like what gall, okay, or what audacity. Oh yes, we threw out the British not to become second-class citizens or proja, to become equal citizens. This is the audacity of equal citizenship wanting Indian speaking. Yes, we're audacious, and we do not need inspiration from Maharashtra. They can deal with their own situation, and we can deal with our own situation. Though we understand that most major non-Hindi states are in the same situation, which is why Bangla Pokko, the organization of which I am the general secretary, we often coordinate, and we have had some successes. For example, BSF exams are now being taken. The Central Armed Police Force exams are now being offered from last year in Bangla also, after a coordinated movement which involved our organization, which involved DMK, which involved the TRS, now BRS. Okay, we all got together. So, but at the end of the day, this should not be something we should be fighting for. This should have been obvious from 15th August 1947. When we watch a World Cup football match, we can see these countries or peoples who are 10 lakh people, 20 lakh people, and they have more linguistic rights than 10 crore Bengalis in West Bengal. That's ridiculous. And
But
at the
Gargo,
end of the day, if you take the citizenry as customer, and if you take the government as a customer service provider, it is the customer service provider that has to speak in the language of the customer. The customer doesn't have to learn the language of the customer service provider. Okay, we should get our the reasoning right.
well, Gargo, before I let you go, on a lighter note, when is the last time you have spoken in Hindi?
I think I speak very often in Hindi when Hindi channels call me. Okay, I have nothing against any specific language. So
You are against imposition of Hindi.
imposition, but also we should know that it is Hindi imperialism and Hindi imposition which makes me know Hindi. Hindi is a language of the Meerut, Delhi, Western UP area. There are 7-8 linguistic zones in between. It is pretty artificial that somebody in Bengal actually knows Hindi, and that tells you it is imposition. For example, just 100 years ago, when less than 1% of the people of Bengal even understood Hindi, forget no. Now, the fact that government of India, government of even West Bengal, and private roads, private signs in West Bengal have to be written in Hindi also in certain areas. The fact that we are thinking all of this is very natural, we should understand what natural means and what unnatural means. The fact that a Bengali knows Hindi is unnatural. It is it is as natural as a Western UP person knowing Bengali.
Well, Gargo, towards the end, I can only thank you for your time and for sharing your wisdom. I know of one song, and as I end this show, we end it like this. I've literally grown up listening to this song. Mile sur mera tumhara, to sur bane hamara.
I know that
And
particular song. I know that particular song, and the fact that and we have to also understand the deep politics of that song. The song translates into, if our tunes coalesce, okay, then there's a lot of strength, etc. That's the whole idea, right? The fact that that has to be said in Hindi, and that does not have a Oriya version, and that does not have a Bangla version, and that does not have a Punjabi version, also tells you, in unity and diversity, if you
absolutely, unity in diversity.
if we fade away the color color RGB profile of the diversity part, and if you bolden and underline and big font, do a big font on the unity part, and still say, hey, the writing is still there, so we're not against it, that doesn't cut it. So for example, unity in diversity is great, but equality and dignity are its preconditions. You can either have unity or you can have uniformity. You cannot have both.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Gargo, for your time. And as I wind up, I can only say India has two official languages, and India doesn't have a single national language, not a single Rashtra Bhasha. The only difference here, as it stands, official language indicates acceptance. Hindi and English have been accepted as the official language for business transaction. It is there in use. But when you talk about Rashtra Bhasha, it almost seems like imposition. I leave it to you as which one do you want to choose. Thank you for watching. Good night and take care.